impact. It's the impact of social media on learning English language during the COVID-19 pandemic. And as you remember, my colleagues from Serbia has just delivered something similar, which is entitled the role instead of the impact. This is a coincidence. I don't know what if it is my good luck or theirs. Okay, the study, as we say, we can summarize it in the abstract. The widespread use of social media in English language classrooms is a result of the decision to switch to online instruction during the COVID-19 pandemic. The current study looked into how social media during the pandemic affected the level EFL students' speaking abilities. Now, using a qualitative approach, our data was gathered through in-depth interviews with instructors and students. The majority of the research indicates that the social media use in speaking classrooms has advantages, although some might question this because we have also disadvantages. Nonetheless, the most crucial component of the courses is taken into consideration the cultural variations of the students, the significance for lectures, pedagogical awareness is emphasized also. I try to ask my colleagues about the pedagogical awareness and how make our students aware of using social media for their benefits instead of amusements. But time flies, as you know. The problem of the study, the COVID-19 pandemic necessitated a shift to online instruction, leading to the widespread adoption of social media and English language classrooms. The impact of this transition on the speaking abilities, just like my colleagues also talked about speaking as the main area of investigation. Yes, we can move into the second point in the problem. This paper also carried to answer the following questions. How has the adoption of social media and English language classrooms during the COVID-19 pandemic affected the speaking ability of tertiary level EFL students? And how can lecturers enhance their pedagogical awareness to maximize the advantages of social media and EFL speaking classrooms? The procedures followed the following steps. First, the research utilized a qualitative approach, as we have said, employing in-depth interviews with both instructors and students. And these interviews were designed to gather rich and detailed insights into the experiences, perceptions, and challenges related to the use of social media in EFL speaking classrooms during the COVID-19 pandemic. The limits of the study is limited, as you can see. It focuses on the COVID-19 pandemic. The research findings may have limitations in generalizing to diverse EFL student populations due to potential variations in culture and institutional context. And each society, each country has its own cultural norms and makes things different, of course. The process of collecting data includes 3 professors who instruct intermediate level EFL students were chosen by the researcher himself, and selection of these instructors were predicated on their greater than 5 years of experience instructing the EFL courses. And this was a crucial factor because they had experience instructing EFL pupils and students. On the part of the students, 27 students and all met the selection criteria and were scheduled for the interviews. These students were chosen based on their use of social media for their intermediate English programs and the fact that they were EFL students. Since speaking classes are the only aspect in the investigation that is what is covered in the interviews. The pupils worked for 14 hours in a week in total. A week in total. Since speaking classes are the only aspect in the investigation also, that is what was covered in the interviews. One major element that surfaced in their debate in response to the challenges they encountered in acquiring speaking abilities was the role that cultural differences had in explaining the challenges. When used correctly, social media, as you know, may have a positive influence on students' language abilities. I've seen many students who have developed their speaking skills through dependence on social media. Because speaking in a stage contacts with other students and the development of social skills, lecturers were asked about how they guarantee the class engagement and planned activities to promote successful class involvement. As for conclusions, the study demonstrates the favorable impact and benefits of using social media for speaking lessons. However, the study emphasizes the implications of lectures, training needs, and pedagogical awareness again and again, while utilizing social media to teach speaking abilities. Students will also need to learn how to use social media issues or sites for reasons other than amusements, as I introduced the first part. The current study's disadvantage is that it only analyzed small sample from one private institution. Future research, of course, with larger sample size is needed to consolidate the findings of this study. The consequence is that professors should be given adequate time to plan and integrate social media into language education, because we cannot do all the, let's say, planning and teaching. It takes time, and we have a very limited time, and sometimes we are supported or provided with a large number of students. And so we cannot, let's say, divide the roles and in the time amount of the lecture. It takes also a significant amount of effort to plan for each level for our pupils, because with the differences of levels, we have also will face, other difficulties, as well as to diversify their usage of social media and not rely just on one side. And thank you for listening. I try to be brief as much as possible, because most of the, let's say, things in this research paper was also discussed in previous today and yesterday. Many people talked about how the social media affected the learning or teaching learning process, including even when we talked about the machine translation yesterday and the AI technologies. And thank you very much.